This video is powered by BetUS, but more on them later. Welcome to Mock the Mock, where I take a look at someone else's mock draft and I mock it, give you my views, thoughts, and opinions. But we're not looking at a mock draft today. We're actually going to be taking a look at Mel Kiper's most recent big board for the 2025 NFL draft class. I love looking at other people's big boards, seeing if they've watched guys that I haven't yet, or just seeing who they're high on, and causes me to go back and look at my rankings and giving them a second glance. Maybe I missed something, or maybe we just feel different on a certain prospect. But let's go ahead, get into this sucker, as Mel Kiper's number one overall prospect is Travis Hunter, wide receiver / corner, though with how much wide receivers get paid, he's probably a wide receiver. Out of Colorado, yeah, he's an extraordinary talent. It's easy. Like for me, not my top overall prospect, but easy top 5 guy. Just a stamina monster to be able to play both sides of the football in the Power 4 at such a high level. Now, because he plays both sides of the football, he is unpolished in some regards, whether it's like man coverage as a corner, or just how fluent or nuanced of a route runner he is, because sometimes he's just out there trying to out-athlete the corner. And a lot of that has to do with, well, if you're splitting your time during the week at practice, playing both positions, then yeah, you're probably going to lack the nuance for both positions. But he's such a great talent that you're willing to be like, oh yeah, no, he's going to pick this up rather sooner rather than later. And again, he has been essentially elite at both positions while in college football. So no qualms here. I get it. Travis Hunter, he built different. Let's take a look at number 2 being Will Johnson, my number 1 overall prospect in this class, who's phenomenal. Like so much so that Texas chose we're not going to throw it that way. We saw him get a pick 6 a week prior. We're not throwing it the way of Will Johnson. He only was targeted once in that game. He is phenomenal, just from size, speed, just quickness. He's just a smooth mover and legit ball skills. Again, when they throw it his way, he's just phenomenal in that regard. Before we continue with today's video, I gotta give a special shout out to today's sponsor, BetUS. They currently have an insane 150% sign-in bonus on your first 3 deposits up to $2,000. So get in on the action at BetUS. Go to BetUS, use promo code YouTube150, and hey, I'm getting in on the action myself. I took a look at some of the lines for the NFL. I'm typically a college guy. College spreads are way more forgiving, but there's some bets I like this week in the NFL. For instance, Tampa Bay is taking on Detroit, and currently Tampa Bay is a 7-point underdog. Tampa Bay looked really good to start the year. On top of that, they play Detroit fairly close in the playoffs this past season. I think Tampa Bay could cover that 7 points. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to snag Tampa Bay at +7. And then let's look right under here, because this is where my next bet is. Indianapolis Colts taking on the Packers. Currently, Colts are a 3-point favorite, but there's no Jordan Love. It's Malik Willis. I have confidence that Gus Bradley's defense is going to do enough to take care of Malik Willis. So give me the Colts and give me those 3 points. I think they'll cover. And then I got one more bet for you. This is a 3-leg parlay, baby. And I'm going to the Houston-Chicago game. And currently, the over-under is set at 46 points. Listen, Caleb Williams didn't pass over for over 100 yards. So I think they might have a tough time scoring in this game. I know Houston's defense didn't exactly look great, but also Anthony Richardson is a bit of a freak. On top of that, the Texans are going to be taking on, what I think is a top 10 defense in the league in the Chicago Bears. So if the Bears can hold Houston to like 20, 24 points, Bears probably only score maybe 10 to 13? Even maybe 14. So let's say worst case scenario, this ends up being Houston Texans. They win 24-14. That's 38 points. That's well under that 46 total. Give me the under in that case. And you know what? I'm putting my money where my mouth is. I ain't just all talk. I mean, I'm good looking, but I ain't all talk. I'm going to throw 20 on that. I'm going to get 117 back. I like it. I love it. I want some more of it. If you want some more of it, you could go to BetUS right now. Take advantage of that 150% sign-in bonus. Again, it's on your first 3 deposits up to $2,000. Use the promo code YouTube150. And as always, bet responsibly and bet within your means. At number 3, he has James Pierce Jr., edge out of Tennessee. I like him a lot. I think he does. Obviously, he needs to add some weight right now. He's just kind of out there just being a better athlete than the competition. He's got that scary elite speed and explosiveness. He can close in on the ball carrier very, very quickly. But he does need to continue to build throughout his frame if he's going to basically just keep up with the level of strength and physicality at the NFL. But I get it. Phenomenal. He's like my edge 2, I believe. Him and Nick Gordon are like exceptionally close to one another. Number 4, Mikael Williams, edge out of Georgia. Now, I still have yet to look at what the injury is. I know it's a leg injury. I don't know if it's a high ankle sprain. I don't know how long he's out for, but he's someone with just like tools, immense upside. It's just disgusting. Length, explosiveness. Just to be able to move at his size. It's just freaking phenomenal. It's just he needs to put it all together. Last year, his pass rush win rate was 8%. Need to see that consistency. Needs a bit more polished, but I get having him up here. It's kind of like a Trayvon Walker. Why he started getting pushed up so high was because, well, man, the tools. If we could get this guy to click, then he could be disgusting. He could be dangerous. Walker was from Georgia too. We got another Georgia guy. We got Malachi Starks. I think he's the best safety in this class. Can't say hands down. Kevin Winston's pretty darn good in his own right. It's a very good safety class. Safety, unfortunately, is a position that kind of gets pushed back in the NFL draft, especially if the class is going to be so good. We could see that here, but I do expect him to go in the first round, maybe more in the middle, but he is phenomenal. He's got the ball skills, wonderful athlete. When he comes downhill, he plays like a linebacker. For me, some of the things I don't like about his game, it's really like sometimes he'll bite early on double moves, and then later in the game you'll see some hesitancy to his game. There's also like the pursuit angles and coverage, but that's seemingly has gotten a lot better. He's played really well in the Clemson game. So yes, if you got Starks top 10, I ain't gonna fault you. I think he's actually 10 for me. Like, why don't I have I should pull up my rankings so I can compare and contrast. Starks is 10. Yes, he's 10 for me. Though I haven't updated my rankings yet because we're only 2 weeks through the season. Come on. I'll do that when we get about 4 weeks through. I'll go back, reevaluate where I have people going. Everybody loves the NFL draft, and I know you want to be familiar with every potential prospect that your team may draft. So I got good news for you. My draft guide is available for purchase. It is good throughout the entire draft cycle, and it updates through the season regularly. You'll get my current evals and rankings on hundreds of different players with player backgrounds and analytics. It also contains combine and pro day numbers, as well as my notes from the Senior and Shrine Bowl. You can purchase it for a one-time payment of $30 on PayPal, Venmo, and now I have the Cash App. Follow the link in the description and be sure to include your email because it is a Google spreadsheet. That is how I share it with you. So please don't make me hunt down your email. Just don't do it. Anywho, it's a great purchase and it's a great way to support the channel. At number 6 is Abdul Carter. Listen, the unfortunate thing, like I get it, Abdul Carter is a freak. Like he's a legit freak when it comes to like size, speed, explosiveness. I mean, he was so good at rushing the passer from the linebacker position. They were like, hey, we're just going to put you on the edge full time. If you go back to 2023, again, he was doing this from an off-ball role. He had a pass rush win rate of 24%. Is just absolutely ludicrous. However, this season, kind of my biggest qualm was, okay, you don't really see the violence that he has when coming downhill when he was an off-ball linebacker. You don't see that when he gets engaged in blocks. And there was some stuff with the run game where I was like, he's got to get better at that. And honestly, through 2 games, unfortunately, I just don't think is there yet. I think he feels more more of a developmental guy. Not saying he's like a total project guy you can't start early. I don't think that's the case. But like if we're talking about a first rounder, I do think he's someone that might have to be like worked in. And again, I mean the traits are nasty here. I'm actually pulling up what his pass rush win rate is right now. As Abdul Carter, 9.5% pass rush win rate. That ain't gonna cut it. One of those games was Bowling Green. Like, come on, like don't play me, dude. Like, come on, let's talk serious about this. Abdul Carter also, from a run defense standpoint, the missed tackles are still there, so it's just still a concern. So I'm not here with him as a top 10 prospect just yet. I can see it maybe from a tool standpoint back end of the first round, somewhere early on day 2. But I mean, again, just some of my biggest concerns have remained concerns 2 weeks through the season. Mason Graham's wonderful. He's my number 2 overall prospect, number 7 here for Mel. Not much to really say here. Like the dude plays a dominant style of football. He is strong. He is explosive. Let's take a gander at his win rate this year, because I know it's a bit underwhelming right now. Michigan hasn't had the hottest start to the season, unfortunately. But his win rate currently sits at 6.2. That's pretty low. But I mean, interior, it's naturally going to be lower, but still, you'd want to see a little bit more. But they did play Texas, hell of a good school. If you didn't know, hell of a good offensive line. So let's just kind of monitor him throughout the season. At number 8, he's got a quarterback, Carson Beck. I have been adamantly said, hey, this quarterback class just ain't it right now. Matter of fact, let's just talk about the quarterback class as a whole. I just saw his number 9, and it's Shedeur Sanders. So yeah, let's just talk about the quarterback class here and now. Like, for me, you got Carson Beck, you got Shedeur. I think those are the guys with like the highest floor in this class. They might not have big arms. I'm not saying they have like league average arms. I think it's above average. I think it's in that kind of like Joe Burrow type of sphere, which, hey, Joe Burrow, a lot of people consider him an elite quarterback in the NFL. So to say that these guys have high floors, kind of talking about their ceiling, probably in that like Joe Burrow type of realm. But oh, man, they haven't really had like hot starts to the year. Like Beck looked much more at home in week 2. Granted, that's Texas Tech or Tennessee Tech. Week 1 in Clemson, you could tell the timing was a bit off. That probably is the thing with him and his receivers, though, as they had a lot of new starters now on the at the pass catcher position. He lost guys like Ladd McConkey. You had Rosemary Jack Saint, Brock Bowers last year. So like he lost a lot of guys that he had some familiarity with. So yeah, that's to be expected that they might be like, it was much better in the second half against Clemson, but in the first half was like, oh, okay, the ball placement isn't ideal. The anticipation seems a tick late, or like, and it might not all be on him. It might be just the little miscommunication between him and the receiver when the receiver needs to be getting to a certain landmark at a certain time. So like, again, I'm not trying to knock back. With Shedeur, man, honestly, like I like Shedeur's game quite a bit. For me, some of the character stuff is just kind of like leaves a bad taste in your mouth, but it's not like honestly anything that I'd be like, yeah, no, that takes him out of the first round for me. But like having a above average arm, the pocket poise is better, but now it's like, okay, offensive line. Apparently it's not that good. They were pretty solid week 1. Then they faced Nebraska and it was just like going into a wood chipper. But like, I don't know, man. With Shedeur, I'm just not there yet with him top 10. I'm not there yet with anybody. It could be Quinn Ewers. I want to see them. Like he started the year hot. Can he continue that consistency? Consistency was kind of a big problem I had with his game. There's like Cam Ward, which no, he's not a perfect prospect. He's fun as hell, but he's not perfect. There's like some stuff mechanically. You're either going to love or hate the sidearm. The pocket poise, he likes to vacate the pocket pretty early. So much so against Florida, they had to start using rolling pockets just to kind of keep him in some sort of structure. And there was that like ego with the arm where it was like, oh, I'm gonna try to layer this ball through, even though, hey, it's like double coverage, bam, interception. So like, listen, like none of the quarterback prospects are perfect. No prospect is perfect, but none of the quarterback prospects make me feel great having them as a top 10 talent. I just don't think that's in this class right now. We have a lot of season left, so we can wait and see. All right, let's keep rolling. We got our first receiver. Well, I guess Travis Hunter, but Tetero McMillan. He'd be higher on my board. He's right now through the first 2 games of the season. He's someone that I think I see bumping up. I think he was like 8 or 7 in my overall big board. Probably going to push him to top 5. He's just a guy that he moves. I'm not saying he's like stupid fast, but he moves really well at 6'5". He's just a different type of athlete that honestly, he would fit a role for all 32 clubs in the NFL. Franchises, clubs are soccer is what it is, but you get what I'm saying. But yeah, he's pretty nasty. I imagine we're going to see Luther Burden fairly quickly. Wow, Mel's top tackle is Kelvin Banks. Hey, me too. I love Kelvin Banks. Dude's built like a brick house. He can be a bit of a lunger at the second level, but dude's had a phenomenal start to the year. Went against a very good Michigan team. Looked great. We'll see how Will Campbell holds up against South Carolina's crazy defensive line this weekend. But for me, it's like 1A, 1B. I think you got 2 really good tackle prospects that deserve to go to the top 10. And then the class is kind of like, is there another guy? All right, number 12, we got Luther Burden. Like I said, he wasn't going to be too far off. I'm a sucker for yak. I'm a sucker for guys that create after the catch, create after contact. Luther Burden is that guy. So, yeah, no kidding. He's my wide receiver 1. I just love that. Maybe it's what I loved most about Malik Neighbors last year, why he was like my number 2 wide receiver entering the year, and why he was essentially my 1B to Marvin Harris's 1A by the end of the year. So, yeah, I'm just a sucker for that type of wide receiver. Here's Will Campbell. We were just talking about how close Will Campbell is. Yeah, he's hella close, man. I don't know about the length. I'm kind of intrigued. Like, he's got a big frame, and the length should pan out, but like I think it's maybe more so he doesn't just extend his arms. He kind of keeps his arms so he can like throw a jab. So he keeps a little bit more than you'd like to see, at least bend the elbow. And just when you get too much bend there, you're going to let guys in your pads. But for the most part, like he's a phenomenal prospect. Like he would have been a first rounder in last year's class. And that class was stacked with tackle talent. So yeah, he's great. Benjamin Morrison, kind of stuck in a really good corner class, but he deserves to be in, I think, the top 10 discussion. I think he currently sits as prospect 11 for me. And I want to say I could see moving him high. Honestly, I can't see moving him higher because I think I'm probably going to be a little further down on James Pierce and Nick Skirden. I feel like the edge class for me is like, it's fine, but it might be similar to last season where it's like, are any of these guys really top 10 though? Well, maybe not. And I think that might be the case though. I mean, oh man, I honestly would take Jared Verse ahead of both those guys. I'm a sucker for Jared Verse. That was my dude. That was my dude back in 2020, the 2023 draft when I thought he was going to declare. But Benjamin Morrison's hella good. He's essentially just like less high-end athlete Will Johnson. That's essentially what it is. Though I think they're both very similar athletes. Also, doesn't have like I don't want to say the physicality because like Morrison is physical. He truly is. It's just the play strength. Let's go with the play strength. It's not as good as Will Johnson's. Colson Loveland. Coming here at 15, tight end out of Michigan. Just not my cup of tea. I think you got to be pretty darn special to be like a top 15, even maybe top 20 prospect. You got to be a special tight end to be a top 15, top 20 type of pick. I don't think Loveland is that. Like we saw it in the Michigan game where it was like, oh man, what was it? That was a really bad fumble, man. What the hell are you doing? And then he comes back next, I think it was the next drive, and just had a phenomenal catch out of nowhere. Like, he is the best tight end prospect in this class, to me, hands down. I think it's more in that Dalton Kincaid area where it's going to be in the late first round. But, yeah, Loveland's good, man. He's good. Quinn Ewers. I kind of, like, talked about the quarterbacks just now, why I don't love them. And I talked about, you know, with him, it's the consistency. So, like, I'm curious if he has any other quarterbacks. I feel like for a lot of people, those are your top three. Maybe you sprinkle in a Cam Ward. Maybe you're a sicko like me and you just can't get off a Jackson Dart. I know he hasn't played anyone yet, but we've seen him play in the SEC the last couple of years. I was a big Jackson Dart guy. I was willing to say, I was like, I think he could become a top 10 prospect in the class. And honestly, I don't want to get off of that, but like, well, we got to see him play, you know, not Furman or Middle Tennessee. And then if the high end play is still there, then it's like, okay, I'm going to get on the Jackson Dart bandwagon. Let's go. All right. Got Kenneth Grant here at 17. I'm more of a Deone Walker guy out of Kentucky. Grant's kind of in the same ballpark, unfortunately, as Mason Graham, where it's like, yeah, that interior for Michigan hasn't really played up to their expectations. As Kenneth Grant, yeah, man, the pass rush win rate's really bad, 1.7. So it's like, yeah, you kind of hope it could get better, because if you're just like, we know he's a great athlete, we know he's got the explosiveness, but we got to see the elevation of play, much like we saw last year. It was phenomenal last year, so kind of got to wait and see. We're only 2 games through. Jalen Walker. I love the love for Jalen Walker. No Nick Skirden yet, by the way, but Walker, he has been an edge the last 2 games. I think he's only dropped in coverage about 8 times, so he's part of that rotation along the edge. And he's just phenomenal. Like, he is literally just shot out of a cannon. I know Mel just used it. I was trying to figure out the words to just say explosiveness. I just don't want to constantly say explosive first step. But yeah, like, shot out of a cannon, man. He flies. And you saw that. He had a couple of wins last year on JC Latham. It was just like, he is phenomenal in that regard. It's just he's got to get a little bit more play strength. But since you play for Georgia, yeah, you're probably going to be a good run defender. He is a good run defender. And I think, yeah, he's in that first round discussion, because this edge class, it's deep, I would say. But it's like, is this just a bunch of day 2 guys, though? At 19, Ashton Jeanty, running back out of Boise. Big game against Oregon. He leads all of college football with 22 forced missed tackles. He was actually 15th on my big board. So, hey, look at me. If you're not familiar with Broshmo is typically not high on running backs. You got to be something special to be in my top 20 when it comes to my big board. And I think Jeanty is, dude. I think he is. We haven't seen it this year with the pass catching, but the year prior, like 2023, he had over 500 yards receiving. He hasn't had a fumble this year. That's huge. That was kind of my biggest qualm. He had a lot of like second effort where the ball would get stripped out, and we haven't seen that this year. Jeanty's just another level. And now, like, I was like, oh, he's shorter. I don't know if the launch speed's like all that good with him. Like, I think it's good, but not like great or elite. Dude's broken off some sick runs this year thus far. Yeah, no, I don't think launch speed's a question. I'm just gonna go back and be like, yeah, he checked that box. Never mind. At 20, we got Talik Williams. Still no Deone Walker or Nick Skirden. Okay. With Talik, man, he's a phenomenal run stuffer. Like, might be the best run stuffer in college football. But for his length and his explosiveness and his size, not a lot of pass rush success. And I say that, and I mean, pretty soon he's probably going to unseat like Kenneth Grant. Grant still just is putting up these type of performances. Like, Talik Williams is good. He's good. It's just it still needs to take that next leap as a pass rusher. At 21, Emory Jones Jr. out of LSU. Is he a guard? Is he a tackle? Didn't have a great start to the year against USC. He was definitely picked on in that game by Anthony Lucas, edge out of USC. But, I mean, I get it. Some parts of his game still pretty raw. But I think he's a good athlete with good power that's still put it together. And worst case scenario, he ends up being a really good guard at the NFL level. We beat my guard 1. In this case, he's like kind of tackle 3 for me, though I think Ariante Urshi is going to make a push. At 22, yes, Siobhan Revel, Jr. out of ECU. I love it. I don't think he plays anyone on the schedule this year. That's it's too crazy, unfortunately. So he's going to have to make a name for himself in the All-Star circuit. But at his size, 6'4", I think he's like, 6'3", 193. That's what Mel lists him at. Phenomenal athlete. Still putting his game together in terms of just being more polished as a defender, whether that's out of his back pedal, using his hands during the route. But he's a feisty competitor. I bank on him putting it together sooner rather than later. He's been, dude has been phenomenal this year. He's allowed 4 receptions on 12 targets. That's a 33.3% completion rate. But what I really want to see is ECU's schedule. Come on, show it for daddy. Here we go. Appalachian State. Okay, that's a game. But yeah, he plays nobody. Appalachian State and Liberty. Those are his next 2 games, and those are probably the big games he's going to play. Unless, of course, they make a bowl game, which they could, but then at that point, maybe does he opt out of the bowl game and just begin his draft process? It's going to be fascinating. I think he's going to be more of a guy that makes a name for himself, at least for most people during like Senior Bowl and stuff like that. At 23, Ariante Urshi. Out of Minnesota. The dude's got length. He's got good strength along the frame. He's got good movement skills. There's a lot to really, really like about him. Someone who still needs to be a finer technician, but nonetheless, man, this, quite frankly, he could end up edge 3 in this class. Again, this class, you look at like some of the other names you could list here, like Anthony Belton and such, and it's like, is there another first round tackle in this class? I don't know. Here's Nick Skirton. Listen, I'm a sucker for Nick Skirton. I get it. He might not be the fastest guy, but he's pretty darn fast at 285. I'll say that. But he's strong. He plays with good first step, and he's showing to be more of a technician, and I love that. I love it, love it, love it. He had a phenomenal game against Notre Dame. I don't know how he did against, what was it, McNeese? Which, I mean, it's McNeese. it's not an FBS school, so it's kind of a nothing type of matchup. Let's actually check. Let's see how long he was in that game against McNeese. Because still against those nobodies, even if you're on the field for just a little bit, you still want to see these guys perform and perform well. All right, so let's take a look at the pass rush win rate in that McNeese game. Yeah, 33.3%. Yeah, no kidding. The dude's been great this season. He truly, truly has. Let's just go ahead, take a gander at his win rate thus far this year. I don't get why people aren't higher on him. Like, currently he has 4 pressures, 1 sack. I know that doesn't sound huge, but you look at the win rates, currently sitting at a win rate of 15.2%. Hey, also, don't look now. He's been used in a very small role, but Cassius Howell, I think he's got another year. Yeah, he's got another year of eligibility. He's a former Bowling Green edge player, went off last year, 44 pressures, 10 sacks. And thus far, in a rotation role, has only played 35 snaps this year. He's done a pretty good job. So probably maybe more so a name for next year. But yeah, I'm a big fan of Skirtin. At 25, finally, Deone Walker. Get this guy. Dude, why weren't we talking about this guy earlier? Come on, man. Come on, man. 6'6", they list him at 245. It's gonna be, or 345. He's gonna be close to like 350, but he moves so well at his size. So much so that like Kentucky's kicked him out to edge. Like he's, for his size, very versatile. At 6'6", yeah, leverage is in his game. That's not a shock. That's not a surprise. It is what it is, but I think he is kind of interior too right now. Again, we're 2 games through the year, so it's real back. All right, he's got his position rankings. I'm gonna let y'all. I'll leave a link to the to the article if you want to go check it out yourself. We are gonna check out his quarterback rankings, though. I am kind of interested to see what they are. So currently he's got Cam Ward as quarterback 4, Jalen Milroe quarterback 5, Drew Aller quarterback 6, and then Jackson Dart quarterback 7. To be fair, I think these guys all have bigger arms than Dart. Like Dart doesn't really have like that velocity, but he throws with really good touch. And I'm not saying he can't throw downfield. He certainly can. I'm just talking about his arm velocity in general. So I get it. These are more toolsy guys. But Dart, a lot of experience, playing really good football right now. Riley Leonard, I forgot. I think it's Taylor in my comment section. He's a big Riley Leonard guy. I'm just not. I'm kind of out on him. Garrett Nussmeier, I want them to kind of just open up. Like let Nuss cook. Let him cook. You could tell in the second half of that USC game, they were like, hey, just don't turn over the ball. We're playing with the lead right now. Let's try to keep that lead. Like, let the man throw. Will Howard, he feels like kind of like discount value Drew Aller. So, like, I mean, I haven't gone back and watched much of I haven't watched any of Ohio State's offense thus far this year because, well, their first 2 games were Western Kentucky or Western Michigan and Akron. So I'm kind of waiting for competition to start so I can really see what Howard can do against at least NFL level competition. So, but yeah, like he's not there. Who are my top 10 quarterbacks? Because I don't think I moved anybody just yet. I mean, entering the year, my quarterbacks were I had Milroe first because like I was like, man, if he could figure out how to throw, and you got to imagine he might figure out how to be like accurate on the consistent basis in DeBoer's system. That's not necessarily the case. So he's more of a toolsy guy. So yeah, he's going to be someone that falls. But again, I was super high on like going into the year thinking basically projected. After that, I do have Carson Beck, Shadur Sanders. I had Cam Ward as my quarterback 4 entering the year. And that, it's going to be fascinating when I re-rank these guys. Drew Aller was 5. Jackson Dart was 6. Quinn Ewers was 7. Again, Quinn Ewers was someone I needed to see more consistency from, and we have thus far. At 8, I had Connor Wegman and Riley Leonard at 9. Both I had early day 3 grades on. Wegman's probably coming back, unless he really turns it on. And then Noah Fafita at 10. But after Bryce Young, I don't think I'll ever believe in a sub 6-foot quarterback ever again. If Bryce Young ends up being a bust, I think I'm out on sub 6-foot quarterbacks. I just think I am. I might be out on 6-foot quarterbacks. But that's it for today's video. If you want more draft content, I got draft content. You could go ahead and check out the stock report down here. But as always, until next time, you be easy, my friends. And again, today's video is sponsored by BetUS. If you go to BetUS and use promo code YouTube150, then you will get a 150% sign-in bonus on your first 3 deposits up to $2,000. Get in on the action at BetUS, but as always, bet responsibly and bet within your means. Later.